the reason for a sewer scope. Sewer scopes, I'm telling you, I have evolved. I've come around. I think at this point, we've probably done 6,000 sewer scopes. We've seen a lot of insides of sewer lines. It never ceases to amaze me of the different types we see, things that we see. We had one a couple days ago. It was a brand new house. The line was clean as a whistle. And as it dropped down to a lower offset, there was a pile of gravel and it was an obstruction, and obviously the water goes by. But when somebody moves in, that's going to be a problem. We see lines that supposedly were replaced and they weren't fully replaced, as part of them were replaced. We see lines that people tell us that things were done, and then we actually go in there and it actually wasn't done. We see lines that people don't necessarily, they note what kind of material it is. Like it might be Orangeburg and they thought it was something else, like cast iron or something like that. Orangeburg, if you look it up on the internet, it's just an older style line. It's kind of like a bunch of tar paper all rolled up, and it kind of collapses over time, gets kind of lumpy inside of there. And usually people like to update that, or at least they like to know when they're buying an older house that needs to be taken care of. Or you got a brand new house like one we had about a month ago where they literally ran a ground rod through the sewer line and it was brand new. Just the only way you're gonna know is if you get a sewer camera down there. So I always tell people this, it's a good verification of something that you can't see unless you run this camera down there. The reason it can be a little bit expensive and people kind of sometimes shy away from it is because the camera's so expensive. It's like an $8,000 camera and it breaks fairly regularly, and then you have to send it in for repairs. So I think that's a key thing to get, meaning I would recommend people get a sewer scope if they can, because it's a good piece of information. Also, I hear people say that we don't need to do it because it's on septic. And I don't agree with that either. I've literally, probably in the last month to 2 months, we've had 3 instances where there's been issues. We had a cast iron line that needed to be chained out and cleaned out so that everything could flow all the way to the septic tanks. And it had lowered down a little bit, so it was a little bit of negative grade. But it works. It's just, you need that information before you buy the house and you move in there, and then it backs up. In that case, it did back up, so we came in there after the fact as well. We found it was broken just outside. We found cleanouts that were broken and not installed correctly. We found lines that literally were not lined up with where it's supposed to go into the tank. They're lined up like this, and it's not working correctly. So there's lots of different scenarios of what we see. There's also lines that are backed up into the house, and the septic people looked downline, meaning that they cleaned out everything in the tank, they checked everything downline, but upline was all packed in there, and it was packed in there for a long time, but nobody's paying attention to that. And so we came out there and we noticed it, and it's just a nice piece of information. So sewer scope, it's a good verification of something you can't see. Yes, it costs a little bit of money or more money, but I think it's worthwhile in any given situation or circumstance. And once you have that information, now you're empowered to have a conversation with your real estate agent and possibly have some concessions, have somebody take care of it before you move in.